Hello, and a big welcome to all of you who are watching and listening to this podcast today. Today we have a person who is from UK but live in another place, and that's very exciting. It's Claire Waldron. Welcome to you.
Thank you, and it's great to be here.
And it's very exciting to hear you have moved to Spain and tell us what you are doing, or tell us first, how did you get there and what you're doing after that?
Yeah, we've been here. So my family have been here 19 years now. We first came over sort of on holidays when I was a small child, actually. With my family have always felt like Spain is like a second home to us. And when my husband and I we had our son and he was 3, we went on a 6-month tour of Europe. And we visited, I think it was spent a month in France, we spent 3 months in Italy, and then a month here in Spain. And we'd got family already here in Spain, not Spanish, but our parents had retired here already. And then once we got home to England, and we lived in a lovely village that we had nice neighbours, nothing, no complaints or anything. We just thought, why not?
Mm.
Let's give it a go. And so that was 19 years ago. And 3 years after being here, we had our daughter, Eva. So she's now 16 and my son's 22. I don't know how that happens. This,
No.
no, I don't know. And I say we, when Anne and I were talking earlier, my husband has, we bought some land and my husband's built our house out here in Spain. And so I have almost, it's like about 18 acres Spanish countryside. We're in southern Andalusia near Granada. And I have very lucky to have all the land. So the horses have loads of movement and freedom to be horses. And it's lovely. It's a dream, real dream come true. We would never have been able to do anything like this in England. Never. So
No, it's
exciting.
pretty expensive there.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Keeping
yeah,
horses in England is very expensive. So
yeah.
to have our own place. But it all sort of started with my first rescue horse, Segura. And I remember when I first saw her, I didn't say this earlier, and it was one of those moments when you look at a horse and they look at you and you think, oh, and it was that heart moment. It was like, you've just got to get me out of here. She was in this really awful barn and the beams were really low and she was being fed on like sweet corn leaves and she just wasn't getting the
Mm.
proper nutrition. She was 5, but she looked about 2 or 3 years old. She was really, really
Wow.
skinny and she was really frightened as well. That was the other thing, really anxious.
Mm.
And so it was one of those moments that was just like, I have to help. It was just, she
Yeah.
just really, really spoke to me. And I was like, she's like my dream unicorn. Because
Mm.
when I lived in England, I went to university and studied for an equine degree. And I always was looking after other people's horses. And I had a horse on loan for a while, but it's not the same, is it? As
No.
your very own unicorn. And of course, she's a grey mare with a really long mane, and
Mm.
she's my unicorn horse.
Yeah.
And so I started to work with her, and it was okay to begin with. But then as she got stronger, I was like, okay, now it's time to be starting to build a really good relationship. Let's reback her because I thought, oh my gosh, my unicorn in the Spanish countryside, I can ride anywhere. So I started to try to reback her, got the saddle on, that was all okay. And then I really ran into problems when I tried to get on board. Some days she would let me get on, and other days she wouldn't. And obviously, at this time, I've got 2 quite small children, and she became really dangerous. I'd
Mm.
sort of be half on and she'd bolt. It wasn't
Yeah.
a walk, she'd just be off. And I had a couple of falls, and I lost my confidence as well. And we both sort of our relationship sort of cracked a bit,
Yeah.
and we didn't feel so close together anymore. And it was, for me, that's utterly heartbreaking, because I was like, no, this is not how it's supposed to be. And so I got in touch with a lady who lived about an hour away. I said, and she was riding instructor. And I said, maybe I've just fallen into some bad habits. You know, I'd ridden all my life since I was 10. I thought, or, you know, maybe someone else could see what I can't see. And so this lady came out, and I got on Segura, and we started to ride, and in the small arena that I've got here at home. And it was all going okay. We were doing some trotting and leg yielding in and out on circles, and that was kind of going okay. And so she was like, right, she's at the next corner, ask her for canter. And I thought, well, I said, we've only really done that outside, out in the countryside in straight lines, because there's more room for her, because she was still young. And she said, I think you'll be okay. She says, just sit and ask. And it was the worst and best decision I ever made, because that moment completely changed my life, because Segura said no in the only way she knew how, and that was to throw me off. And it was, I remember hitting the floor. I think, what on earth happened? And the lady was like, oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't realize she was going to do that. I said, well, no, I didn't really either. I could feel the tension, building in her. Anyway, I was so upset, so upset. And this lady left because I couldn't get back on board. Segura was really anxious and upset because she was frightened. I was frightened.
Yeah.
And I just felt like I'd just undone all the way. I felt awful. I thought, this is just not right. This is not how things are meant to be. That I'm making her do something that she doesn't want to do. Or it wasn't that she didn't want to, she couldn't. She physically couldn't, and mentally and emotionally she wasn't in the right place. And so then I remember going back home, and my husband said to me, he said, how was your lesson? And I just burst into tears. I was like, it was awful. I said, it was horrible. I've hurt her, Segura's I've destroyed everything. And because she was really jumpy around me afterwards, because we were both, really, really frightened. Anyway, I went to see her the next day, and I apologized. I said, I'm so sorry. I'm going to put this right. I don't know how. And I don't care if I never ride you again. I don't care. I shouldn't have done that. And it just, even today, it's just really broke my heart. Really, really broke my heart. And so I went on this mission to find, okay, so I went back into, is she getting all the right nutrition? So I'd studied this anyway. And okay, so then I did a course in equine psychology, and then I did another course in equine ethology, and I started to read around all the subjects of all those sorts of things, and I came across connection training, who were just about to launch, and I was like, well, maybe these people can help me, because it's online tuition. No one in this area is going to help me, because it's very macho, and I've seen the way people sometimes treat their horses in the local area, and I'm not doing that. So I jumped in with 2 feet basically and just said help, and so I had some intensive online coaching. So I'd record videos, and then they would give me feedback. And moving to connection training and reward-based training completely changed my life, literally. It's incredible. Segura and we learned to trust each other again. And within 6 weeks of starting to work in this different way with her, I could go and sit with her in the field, and she'd never let me do that before. And I could sit with her, and we just spend time just sitting and breathing together. And I was like, it's just made my heart so happy. And I rebacked her. and we redid lining up the mountain block, and she stood solid as a rock. And from that point on, I was like, this is what I want to do. I want to share this with other people. So I got as much experience as I could, and became a connection training instructor. I was the first one. And then that's when I read how I met Rachel Bedingfield, my now business partner, an amazing friend too. We're so close. And we set up Positive Horse Training Spain because we found that we both got this dream to rescue horses, rehabilitate, and hopefully rehome. So that's sort of where everything's come from. We started in 2016 hosting live courses here. And we started off with hoof trimming for horse owners, barefoot hoof trimming for horse owners. Mm-hmm. We did a whole horse dissection. We hosted Dr. Ivana Ruddock, who is just the most phenomenal anatomist, veterinary anatomist. She's just she's amazing, absolutely wonderful. We've hosted academic art of riding, and also we had connection training courses. We had Tai Chi for horse riding and yoga for horse riding and everything. So we did loads of stuff, and it was so much fun, but a lot of hard work because we had nine horses. We had 8 horses and a mule foal who arrived very unexpectedly.
Lost confidence in the saddle? I can help. My Get Back on the Horse program is designed to help you overcome fear and enjoy riding again. Let's get you back in the saddle with confidence. Click the link in description to join.
So we had a lot on our plate, but it was going. We had such a great time, and then unfortunately COVID happened, and it obviously, like everybody else, it shut us down. And so we managed to keep going, and we sort of raised some funds because obviously without running the courses, our income had gone. So we set up some fundraisers, and we have some amazing supporters, and they just really kept us going because they believed in what we do, which was incredibly heartwarming. When people send you, a donation from halfway across the world, it's like, wow. It was very humbling, really humbling experience. But then thankfully we managed to start the courses again. We ran one in the winter as a test in 2022 to see how everyone felt about traveling. Was the demand still there? Because obviously people were anxious about traveling still sometimes. And it was all great. So we'd planned the next season, and unfortunately, I had a prolapse in one of my discs in my back, and it left me in a very bad way. So on huge amounts of pain relief in bed at home for several weeks until I could get surgery. And I had the surgery. Everything was great. So brilliant, off, this is, off we go again. And 6 weeks later, the same disc prolapsed again because the surgeon only cuts a small amount out, and the same disc prolapsed because then my spine had become a little bit unstable in that area. And so I had another surgery. So that was it came up in my Facebook memories today that I just got home from hospital for the second day, having had the second microdiscectomy. And because of the amount of painkillers I was on, and I had steroids, it made me really ill. From just what you think it's just an injury, but the medication made me really ill. So it took a long time to sort of get back, and I ballooned because I was on all these steroids to try and calm the nerve damage down and everything. So it's been a long road to get to this point. And then just in February this last year, I've had spinal fusion surgery. So that was 3 months ago, to put metal in so that my spine is stable. And so it's been quite the journey. quite the journey. And
Yeah.
so when I was chatting with Anne earlier, we've now taken, because I've not really touched the horses in 2.5 years. And obviously Rachel and I still want to share our knowledge. We're so passionate about helping people and getting this connection where you and your horse feel really safe together. It's like this amazing best friendship that, that you're always working on. And then I remember I met a lady here in Spain, and she was this like crazy woman that would go out and do all these, adventures. And I was quite intimidated. And I was like, oh, so we'd go and have a coffee. And then, but as I got to know her and we trusted each other a bit more, then she said, oh, do you want to come for a bike ride? I was like, okay, yeah. And then we did other things together. We did a half marathon together and things. And I think it's like when you first get your horse, you don't know each other at all. You don't know what your likes and dislikes are, and like you're a bit like, and who are you? And it's building that friendship like you do in your human friendships, and being able to work with the humans and their horses so that you get this close relationship that feels really safe and secure is wonderful. So
Yeah.
Rachel and I
Because
developed.
as
Sorry,
I
go on.
said often that the horse is not cannot choose. We choose
Yeah.
the horse, and the horse is just coming in and yeah, should like us, and there's a lot to work on.
Absolutely, because
Mm.
when choice is something that we advocate so much with our horses, especially because we've had quite complicated rescues come in. One of the ponies that we had was triggered by fear, and so he would get very aggressive and he would chase you out of your field, and teeth bared, and he meant it. He'd put people in hospital at the rescue centre, and they asked me to take him with his companion who was almost blind. So I had two very complicated ponies to look after,
Mhm.
and working with, he was called Valiente, which means brave in Spanish. Working with Valiente taught me so much about choice. And I always worked with him from behind a barrier in protected contact because it wasn't safe to go in with him. So I took a lot of inspiration from zoo training and, wildlife parks when you see the giraffes giving, and their elephants giving their feet voluntarily.
Yeah.
That's what I taught him, because that was the only way it was to be done. We couldn't get into, it wasn't fair on him to keep sedating him to have his feet done, because there's another way. And so working with him was just magical, in then just a lot of time and patience. And it was interesting because when he realized he had the choice, he would see me and go, oh, that's the good person. And because we're using reward-based training that helps rewire his brain and all those awful connections that he got in his brain, he was the absolute pessimistic pony, he just like everything is bad. And so we had to really rewire his brain into helping him feel optimistic and happy about life again. And so I would come and he'd see me with my hoof trimming gear, because I had to learn to hoof trim because he wouldn't let anyone else near him. And we had a stationary cone that we used as a target, and he would just come and he'd line up and he'd give me his foot. He'd put his foot through the fence that we had set up, and he was like, I want my hoof doing now. And he was just wonderful. So stress-free for both of us.
Mm.
And then we did all the other husbandry behaviors. We did injection training, we did head collaring, we did fly spray and fly cream. Obviously, I did all his hooves, and then we started to teach him a few tricks. So I taught him fetch, just for something really fun to do. And he was just a magical little pony, because he was so clever. It was a Welsh Section 8 pony. And once the fear had gone, his brain could then think straight and he could concentrate. And he learned so fast. Oh my goodness, was he a quick learner once the fear had gone? So yeah, giving him choice was incredible. And so it's something that we've really taken into everything that we do. And we do a lot in protected contact as well.
Yeah, and it's from the worst horses that you learn the most.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
How did you
It's
do with, you say you trimmed the hooves through the fence. How did you do
yes,
with the back hooves?
it's exactly the same. So I had a concrete block, so that was nice and solid. And I used to push the block in, and he used to put his foot on the block because so taking it back a bit. So you put the block in, and he understands that that's not a scary object because we use it for the front feet. And then using a target stick, so a little sort of an old riding whip, actually repurposed with a cloth stuck on the
Mm-hmm.
end.
Mm-hmm.
And I then started to say, all right, can I touch your back legs? Because he would just kick out.
Yeah.
And he started to learn that was okay. And so he would target the stick with his foot, and so that I could guide it onto the block and put it in the right place. And
Wow.
then he allowed me to sort of lean in, and then because he's parallel to the fence, I've got lots of photographs and videos, if people want to know more. And yeah, position his foot and trim his foot that way. And also then we got to the point where we were using a hoof stand. So I could take his foot from behind, pop it on the hoof stand, and then have a look underneath. And that was all super as well. And he would just stand there, no head collar, no lead rope, nobody holding him. He would just stand there, and he would be very happy to work with me. In the beginning, it was quite funny because we go, oh, I don't really know I didn't know how to teach it. He didn't know what he was learning.
No.
And so there was a lot of give and take, and a lot of, it was the communication between us was got really, really, I could tell, like, oh, he flicked his ear a bit. He's not feeling so good. So I take a step back. And it's all those tiny little signals of communication that enabled me to do what I could do with him. And this is what Rachel and I teach in our program now. It's observing your horse in a way that you notice things, and the more you look, the more you see. You can see when the stress levels go up, and then you recognize when they're coming back down again. So it's this of you go to the yard and you get your horse in from the field and they don't feel quite right. Maybe they're a bit high-headed, maybe they're a bit distracted. So you perhaps do a warm-up exercise together. You don't just go and put a saddle on and go for a ride,
No.
because you've just completely disregarded their feelings and what's going on, because it happens so often and people come back and go, I had such a bad session today.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it started when you got them from the field
Mm-hmm.
or you got them out of their stable. And so we're all about, there's no more bad horse days. It's all just information and progress. And so when you can see all these signs and signals they're giving to you all the time, you can adjust what you do with them. And I say you have to let go a bit of your own goals. It's like, I want to ride it, or I want to lunge it, I want to do the thing today. Well, how does your horse feel? Do
Mm-hmm.
they want to do that today? Are they in the right mind space for that? Are you in the right mind space? That's the other thing, isn't it? That not everyone, you've got your human life that's so busy and so crazy, and then you turn up at the yard and you're not being mindful for your horse. You're not there mentally, emotionally for your horse when you should be. It's not fair. So we have a whole, we give everybody lots of different exercises to try over the 14 steps. And so people can pick and choose what works for them, because some people might like meditation. Some people might like to do some Tai Chi. And there's lots of different things, or there's, doing a little bit of journaling, just different ways to help people become more present, so that when they're with their horse, they can help their horse and be more connected and open and everything. So that's where we are at the moment with the program, that's sharing it. You know, it's now become an online program, because I'm hoping I'll be able to get back out with the horses in after the summer, sort of in late September. But at the moment, my legs aren't always very stable. I walk with a stick, and outside is it's very stony, and because we're in the Spanish countryside, so it's not entirely safe. So I can't be mindful. I can't be present because I'm worried about my body. But when I do get back to working with them, I will start in protected contact. So I feel safe and they feel safe, because I've been through a lot, and I go out and say hi to them over the fence, which is lovely. And they're like, well, we want to do things with you. And I'm like, I'm sorry, you know, soon. So it's been, I say, yeah, quite the journey since we arrived here in 19 years ago. And but we've learned so much that we just, yeah, sharing it with more people. And that was the thing with the in-person courses. It's incredible, but you can only share it with so many people at any one time. You know, we only had between 6 and 8 people at once. And now with an online program and group coaching, then we can share it with so many more people, and it's wonderful. It's really great.
Want to get back on the horse? Grab my free mini course. It's packed with simple tips to help you overcome anxiety and get back on your horse again. Click the link below to download. And it's in English.
Yes, it's in
Yeah.
English.
Mm.
Yes.
Not Spanish.
No, there isn't much of a market here for reward-based training in Spain. We do
No, but
have a lot of,
maybe they start a little.
there's a few people around. There's a lady I know up in Barcelona, and there's a few people, and the younger generations are coming through now. You know, they don't like bullfighting, so
No.
the changes there,
Mm.
in the younger generations, that there is a kind of, you know, to be more compassionate with animals, and it's wonderful. It's great.
Oh, really? Yeah.
It's really good. Yeah.
So did you have a lot of rescue horses, or did you have a lot of students? Or how did you teach?
So in the beginning, we started off with, within about 9 months, we got 8 rescue horses, because I'd got the 2 ponies. Segura sadly died in a field accident. Actually, she was only with me 2.5, 3 years. And that was also one of the reasons for me wanting to carry on, because of what she gave me. It's her legacy. My house is called Cortillo de Segura, after her. And so I started with the ponies, and then I have a contact down at a rescue centre and some other contacts within Spain. And they said, oh, we think, you know, this horse will be good. And so, yeah, we started off with, so we had the 2 ponies and 5 horses. And then one of the rescue mares gave birth to a mule, a surprise mule. So that was, oh my gosh, that was incredible, because we were told she might be in foal to a PRE skewbald stallion. And we were shown photographs of this stallion, and oh my gosh, you know, stunning. And there was the guy's little boy was sat on him bareback and everything. And we're like, wow, but it doesn't matter. We love her. She's Selena is a Hispano-Arab flea-bitten grey, just beautiful, just stunning. It's like, we don't care. We want to rescue her. If she's in foal or not, it doesn't matter to us. We love her. And so obviously she was skinny, so she started to put on weight. And we didn't, she showed signs of being in season when she came off the lorry. And I'm like, well, there's no way she's expecting a foal. You know, she was winking at our gelding, and it's like,
Okay.
no. So there was just no signs there whatsoever. And then 7 months later, 8 months later, obviously she was already pregnant when we did get her. So yeah, Maverick turned up, and it was so funny the morning he was born. It was July the 5th, and my dogs were going crazy. The other horses were going crazy. I could hear everything running around. It was like 6 o'clock in the morning. And I was like, what's going on? So I got up and I went outside. And I was like, what's that in the field? And it was crazy because we have rescue dogs and cats here as well, inevitably. And we'd rescued a black gold German Shepherd dog, and he was really big, and we'd named him Luke. And this foal was really dark. I was like, that's not Luke. That looked, it was that far away. I was like, what's going on? I was so confused because we had no clue whatsoever. And I looked at him, I was like, oh my gosh, she's had a foal. Ran back inside, go, kids, get up. Selena's had a foal. Oh my gosh, you must come and see. You must come and see. And then I looked at him, I was like, but you're so tiny. He was really, really tiny. And I was like, you've got really big ears and you've got a really long face. And I was like, oh my gosh. But in my head, I had the picture of the skewbald stallion. So I
Yeah.
was expecting to see a
Mm.
skewbald foal. If anything was going to happen, that was, picture in my head, knowing they spot out and all the rest, all my normal logic just disappeared.
Yeah.
And I was like, you're a mule. It was just so incredible.
I had the same experience
Have you?
yes,
Oh,
many, many
right.
years
Oh,
ago. I bought a little pony and they were telling me she would cover it with a nice, nice pony stallion. And out come this little one with big ears.
oh my goodness.
Yeah.
So we decided that, I mean, Maverick grew to be 15 hands high. He was as big as his mom. So we decided that Daddy must have been an Andalusian giant donkey.
Yeah.
He's huge now. So he's just left actually last month, and he's gone to live in an amazing new home with our friend in Yorkshire in the UK. And she wants to train him to be an endurance mule, which is really
Mhm.
exciting. She's been out to Spain a few times and she's met him before, and she just fell in love with him, and they're just really good together. So it's a super story, and especially because I'm, not really looking after them at the moment so much. So it's less pressure on everybody else, and it's perfect. It
Mhm.
works out really, really well that he's gone there. But yeah, he was a very confident little individual. He started to break out. We weren't set up for a foal, so he'd just break out the fences. And of course, it was in summer, so the electric fence didn't work properly because the earth wasn't deep.
Mhm.
All the things. Anyway, he's a lovely, big, cuddly mule now.
Mm.
When the transporters came last month, they were so surprised because he's like, he's so big. I was like, yes, he's not a little mule.
Wow.
So yeah,
Yeah.
so we had enough horses to work with, sort of between 6 and 8 students, and we'd usually pair a student with one of the horses for the week. That students would give us a bit about their background, about and what they did, and it was always a really good match. The horses always gave them what they needed,
Mm.
and it was fantastic. It was really great. So yeah, moving to the online and knowing it works is fantastic.
Did you sell your horses to UK or it's in Spain or
So one of the boys, he went to Sweden,
Mm-hmm.
So we did Tiny. He's called Tiny because he was a tiny orphan. He's not so tiny now. He's with our friend Angelica Hesslis in the north of Sweden.
Mm-hmm.
She's the lady that does academic art of riding.
Mm-hmm.
And then one of the others went back to her owner, and we've lost a Valiente sadly died. He had colic, and the vet said because he was so neglected as a foal
Mm-hmm.
that he'd had, internal damage. And one of our other one, Pegaso, a similar thing happened to him because he was so deprived. As a 5-year-old, he was like a walking skeleton and was still entire, still a stallion. And so sometimes, their systems don't always
No.
recover.
No.
And so at the moment, we've got Selena and we've got Triana. So Selena is Maverick's mom, and she's having a nice time without her baby boy here anymore. She's not bothered at all. They stayed very much a pair bond, but since he's gone, she's like, okay, this is fine. We've got just a little herd of girls now,
Mm-hmm.
and she's settled well and is friends with the other mares. And so we've got and then we've got Manuela. Manuela was saved from the meat industry. We went and we saw her and went, wow, she's amazing. So we rescued her. She was a 4-year-old. And then finally there's Libby. Libby came to us 4 years ago from Arch Rescue Centre down on the coast as a 2-year-old. And she just looked like a foal. She was she was tiny, really, really tiny. So she came up here, and she was going to potentially be my riding horse if everything worked out, but I'm not really sure what's going to happen there because of my injuries and whatnot. But Libby is now almost 17 hands high.
Mm-hmm.
She has just grown and grown and grown. I think she's Andalusian cross with thoroughbred, and she's bay, and she's huge. She's really, really big. But she's so keen on getting stuff done and so human orientated and happy because she was rescued. So when she was 2 from a town in Malaga, and the only friend she has was a dog. She wasn't with any of the horses. And so when she first came here, she couldn't speak horse. It was so sad.
Oh.
She just didn't know how to communicate with the other horses. We put her in with one of the older mares, and she just stood and didn't react. And in one day we found her hiding behind our trailer, our horse trailer, because she was so frightened. She didn't know what to do. So we separated them again, and she was on her own for probably 6 months, but she could talk over the fence to the other horses. And she started to watch what we were doing with the other horses. She needed that decompression time. She just needed to put on weight. Her legs would wobble.
Mm-hmm.
She walked her back legs. She was so weak and unstable. And so we gave her 6 months. And then I started to see if, is she ready to start some reward-based training? And she wasn't. Emotionally, she just wasn't, because although she was sort of rising 3 by that point, it was more like having a foal on your hands because of the detrimental effect that the neglect had on her. And so she spent another year out in the fields with the horses, learning how to be a horse with the other horses. And obviously they do what they do best. And, she's a great communicator now. And so she's ready. She's ready to start some work in the autumn. So I'm really looking forward to be able to do that. So I started to do bits and pieces, and then all this happened with my back. So, and she just stares at me as well, because when she first arrived, I was giving her so much attention every day and giving her multiple buckets, making sure she had, food all the time. And so, yeah, I'm definitely her person. And she always looks to me first. She's like, oh, there you are. What are we going to do today? It's so nice. She's
Yeah.
like a giant dog. I was
Mm.
out she just follows me along the fence line. She just wants to walk with me and be with me. As I was checking, and we have a big hay bale system here now because I can't, put hay out by hand. So,
Right.
because we don't really get grazing. We've got a lot of greenery at the moment because of the rain that we had this year,
Mhm.
but we have big bales that we put into nets
Yeah.
with a machine. And so I was just walking along the fence line, checking the bales, and she just came with me. And I just, picked her some grass and gave it to her over the fence. And I was like, I'm sorry, we can do things soon. So she's just so keen. She's really clever. So I'm really looking forward to doing that.
Hi, if you love horses and want to learn more about riding, training, and building a deeper bond, join my monthly membership. You'll get expert advice, live workshops, and a supportive community of horse lovers. Click the link in description to join. Yeah, and so you have online courses, you told me. Is it for everybody all over the world, or how is this going
Yes,
on?
so the
Yeah.
what we wanted, because we people came here from all over the world for the in-person courses, which was
Mhm.
astonishing, from the USA, Australia, New Zealand, all over Europe.
Wow.
It was incredible.
Yeah.
So it's like, wow, there's people all over the world that want to work in this way. The connection comes first, connection, calm, safety, confidence, all that. So there's a self-study option. So if you're quite happy working by yourself or maybe, you're very busy and you just want to dip in and out of something, it works really well like that because we've put it into steps. Everything builds on top of the next one. And then I'm running group coaching starting next week again. And I also work one-on-one as well. And so it's all delivered via Zoom. And
Mhm.
I've also introduced an accountability part to my one-to-one coaching. I did a qualification earlier on this year, and it's working with people who they know what they want to do. And say, for example, they need to do trailer loading with their horse, or they know that something's coming up and they need to be very consistent, or they just have trouble being consistent.
Mhm.
And so we have a check-in service on WhatsApp. And
Mhm.
so people just check in with me every day, Monday to Saturday usually. And we check in and say, right, send me a photo and tell me how you get on at this time of day. Because when you have an appointment with somebody at a certain time of day, you're going to do the thing you've been asked to do.
Yeah.
But it's so fun and encouraging though. I don't tell people off. It's very, and then it helps them get into more of a routine and helps people achieve what they want to achieve. It's like having I'm kind of like their horsey best friend in their pocket, if you
Mhm.
like.
Mhm.
And then you can tell them, oh, I did this today and it's amazing. And it's great, particularly if people are out on their own in the middle of nowhere,
Yeah.
or they're on their own in the barn and they do things a little bit different to everybody else.
Mhm.
And it's having that friend in your pocket that's, oh, you're doing great. Or it's like, oh, I'm not sure about this. What should I do? I'm there, and it's a lot of it's the hand holding, and I also do the video reviews as well for people. So it's kind of like you've got me. It's like a delayed lesson. I do a voiceover, and people see what I see, and they learn by that as well. And it's just fantastic, an intensive period with me, and people they're really set up for things, and it's fantastic. It's so rewarding. I love it.
Yeah, it is. It is. And it's a good thing now you can't get out that much and you can use Zoom. It's fantastic tool.
Yes, it's like I
Mm.
get my I get my horse time with other people's horses now.
Yes, I know.
It's a bit frustrating sometimes. It's like, oh, I just want to be back out there, but
Mm.
taking the time now, just it's been so like horse training because or being with your horse, because at the moment I'm taking time out to do what I need to do to get to the right place so that I can be there for my
Mm.
horses. And I don't want to rush it and go too fast and have a step back, so it's the right thing to do. And I get so much pleasure from seeing other people achieve their dreams with their horses, whatever that is. It
Mm.
doesn't matter if people want to ride, whether they want to stay on the ground. I'm just working with a lovely lady, and we're 3 months in. And 3 months ago, we had an introductory Zoom call to see how she was and what was happening, because she sent me a very emotional email saying that she was frightened and didn't know what to do. And her partner said that she should sell one of her horses. And we had this Zoom call, and she was in tears. She was
Mm.
heartbroken. I thought, I've been where you are.
Yeah.
I thought, I know how you feel when everyone else is saying, just get rid of them, it's fine. And it's like, no, it's not. This is her dream. And
Yeah.
so we've been working this way quite intensively for 3 months. And the change, she's so smiley and she's calm and she's confident, and her
Mm.
horses are just loving being with her again.
Mm.
And because she said to me, it was, oh, the horses are really jumpy around me and they're really anxious all the time. She said, but I do think it's me. She said, and
Mm.
it's that spiral, isn't it? Where you feel anxious, they feel anxious, and everyone
Yeah.
gets worried, and then horrible things happen. So it's just been delightful to see her fall in love with her horses again.
Mm.
And for me, that's just lovely, isn't it? It's just nice. It's
It
just a
is
good
when you
thing to
see
do.
their eyes, they're coming. I sit on him. I
Yes,
did
yes.
that. I know exactly.
Yeah, so good. So I'm getting a lot of positive reinforcement for for
Mm.
myself. Helping other people at the moment, and it's lovely. It's great.
Yeah, super. That's fantastic to hear about it, and you're doing more than one thing. You save the horses and you save the riders as well. That's fantastic. And
Yes,
yeah, maybe someday it will be in Spanish as well, so you can
yes.
teach around you.
Yes, because I speak Spanish, but not. I did go. I did go to Madrid a few years ago to teach, and that was exhausting. I went for the weekend to teach,
Yeah.
which was fantastic, but it was exhausting. Yeah, I've got a very, I can do all the family stuff, but the intricacies of horse training, it's and being with your horse is a little bit beyond me at the moment, but I'm going to work on it. And
Mhm.
it was nice though. Uh, I got invited to America in 2022, just before all my back problems started, and I went to teach in Vermont for 10 days and hosted a clinic there as well with somebody. And then a few months later, I went back and went down to New Mexico
Mhm.
to the Villanova barn and held a clinic there and worked with their students for 10 days, which was incredible.
Wow.
It was really amazing. So
Yeah.
yeah, I really enjoyed that. So it might be maybe in the future I'll be back on the road again. It'd be nice to get back to the UK as well and do some teaching in the UK, which I've
Yeah.
done before. Be nice when I can travel
Really.
again. But for now, online is super because it means we can
Yeah.
meet.
That's fantastic. You can keep on going. You don't have to just rest all the time. So
Yeah,
it's
it's great. See,
fantastic.
I'm sat in bed at the moment. This is my rest time. I'm sat in bed. I'm sat on my bed talking to you while I rest. But
Yeah, that's okay. So thank you so much for this. It was fantastic to hear about it. And if people want to get in touch with you,
mhm.
where can they find you?
The best place is Facebook. We
Yeah.
are Positive Horse Training Spain. So I'm Claire Waldron. I have my own, obviously, I have a personal account there on Facebook too. And as we're in this transition from going from Positive Horse Training Spain to the online programs, it is Positive Horse Training Spain and on Facebook, but we do have a website which is called My Horse, My Journey, which is the name of our program. And so you can contact me through there. You can get details about our program on there as well, and how to, if you want more information. I'm really happy though, if people were interested, I jump on and we'll do a discovery call, and just 15-20 minutes if you just want to know more about it. I'm really happy to talk to people and see if it's the right fit. That's so important to us, that we are the right fit for each other. When I coach people together, and it's working with like-minded people is just so super.
Mm.
So that's it.
Yeah, I will share the links in the description. So
yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
And if anybody's got any questions about the training with Valiente, especially, he brings up a lot of questions for people about the working in protected contact and how I trained all that. I'm very happy to talk to people about that if they need help, because he was I think I'm probably one of the first people to do that with a horse that was actually documented and videoed. There might be other people out there doing it since, because this was 8 years ago when I started doing that with him. So there are other people doing it at the moment, but to work in that particular way, be so specific, with him. If people have he was definitely an untouchable pony. So if anybody has, rescues or untouchables or very anxious horses, I'm really happy to chat and help you understand what's going on. It's, it's part of my passion, and we have exercises in the program that help regulate their nervous systems and everything. So really happy to just connect with people and see what happens.
Yeah, fantastic. So thank you so much for coming here today. It was really exciting to hear about it, and I hope you get better and can continue with your wonderful work in the
Thank you, Anne.
future.
It's been lovely. It's been so nice to chat with you. And it's nice to be able to share what we do to a wider audience that might not have heard of us, which is lovely. So thank you for the work that you do too. It's great connecting all as like-minded people together. It's much appreciated.
Thank you so much. And
Okay.
thank you to all of you who have been listening and watching this program today. And please subscribe, because it helps me to get out to people all over the world. So thank you so much for today, and see you again next week.